Pac-10 Sports Talk. We're in week 12 of the NCAA football season. In this segment, we're going to talk about the wins and losses last week. We're going to do a little recap. First game we're going to talk about is Oregon's win over Cal. And Joel, I want to know what you thought.
I'll sum it up like this. Hello? Hi, is this Oregon's offense? Yeah. This is Cal at the front desk. This is your wake-up call. Okay. And that's exactly what this is. This is a wake-up call for Oregon's offense. They just look bad. 317 yards on offense, one offensive touchdown for Oregon. Are you kidding me? And there's many to blame for the Oregon failures on offense. One, you blame the offensive line that really just got pushed around. Didn't give ample time for Darren Thomas to throw the ball or open up lanes for LaMichael James. But luckily for them, their defense showed up and held California to under 200 yards in special teams, with Cliff Harris scoring a record time for a Pac-10 record, at least, his fourth punt return for a touchdown. For California, you got to give them credit. They beat up Oregon up front. They swarmed to LaMichael James, bottled him up, got to put pressure on Darren Thomas, and really looked like a great defense. Unfortunately for them, their offense just couldn't come through.
Yep. You're talking about Joel's, he's saying is their only offensive touchdown. Jeffrey Mail cut Oregon's only offensive touchdown. Neither team able to consistently convert on third downs. However, I think the key was, Oregon being really, really aggressive, even though they didn't have a whole lot of stats, being real aggressive on fourth down. They were 4 for 6. Cal had a chance to win it at the end, to kick a field goal, get called back, a legal motion penalty, and then the next kick, the guy misses it. Could have won the game. You might look at this game and say, hey, geez, what's wrong with Oregon's offense? Or for that matter, what's wrong with, Cal's offense, less than 200 yards. But, I just look at this game, just two defenses showing up and playing a really, really good game. Great game, 15-13 Ducks win.
Well, I think this game was, to me, kind of reminiscent of when the Ducks opened the season last year against Boise State. Ducks last year had a brand new offensive line in place, couldn't do anything, it couldn't block out the defensive front of Boise State at all. Very reminiscent of last night, or of the game with the Ducks the other day. Didn't have any room to operate at all. Cal played what they call a zero coverage, was basically a man-to-man matchup. They had, I'll take this guy, you take that guy, and you take that guy. And what that did was eliminated having to read what Oregon was going to do. It simplified things. So, and obviously it worked pretty well against Darren Thomas, for example, because he was having problems all day long. He's having problems reading. He put the ball on the carpet a lot. And he spent most of the game overthrowing receivers. Just a bad game for Darren Thomas, quite honestly. So, you have to look back at this game now and you wonder, looking ahead for Oregon, is this a blueprint of how to beat Oregon in the future, or did Oregon just not execute very well that game? Hard to say, but I think the Ducks will find out with Arizona looming on the horizon soon.
Okay. Next game I want to touch on is USC's win over Arizona. Score was 24-21, Jeremy.
I was off on this one. I actually picked Arizona last week because I thought they had the better.
Not so with us.
I thought they had the defensive edge at home. Darn it, Wildcats. End up losing this game. Foles was effective passing the ball. And able to get the ball down the field. They just couldn't capitalize it to any points. Really that kind of, like I said, able to pass the ball, but forcing them now to be a one-dimensional team in a passing game. They couldn't run the ball. Southern Cal able to capitalize on 2 fumbles. They put 10 points on the board from those 2 fumbles. Arizona had a chance winning a game at the end. Great catch in the end zone, got reviewed, and they ruled it that it was a catch, but then they couldn't get the offensive onside kick. Arizona's kind of on a slide now. Two down 2. They're going to have to put it together here. They got to go got to go to Oregon on the road next week. Luckily, they got a bye. Actually, for both teams, Oregon and Arizona get a bye. Southern Cal starting to get hot with 2 close but important wins. Kudos to Joel and Jack, was the odd man out last week.
That's why they watched the show.
But like we said last week, It's kind of a statement game, and USC able to flex the guns and say, hey, you know what, we're USC, and we're here to stay.
I think more importantly, I think where this game was won is Arizona's inability to stop USC's rushing attack.
Yeah, right.
They just controlled the game clock. In fact, if you look at time of possession, USC had 17 more minutes with the ball in their hands than Arizona. That's a huge difference. They outrushed them 250 to 51, and they won the turnover battle. And when you run in those three aspects of the game, it's pretty tough to lose. And USC, we talked about Stanford last week. I mentioned that if you're a future opponent for Stanford, you better beware. And I think USC's kind of in that same type of spot where this team's getting better. And if you're an opponent for playing USC, you better be prepared because this isn't the same team that barely beat Hawaii in week 1. So
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think if you're one of the ones who wrote USC off early in the season after they lost to Washington and they barely beat Virginia, well, I think you might owe an apology to the boys of Troy because, like everybody said, they're a good team now, and I think their goal right now is to win the rest of the games and to end the season 10-3. The Wildcats, meanwhile, have hit the meat of their schedule. They found the going a little tough. They've, especially against, it seems like the Wildcats are susceptible to real physical running games. Like we talked about, like Stanford. Stanford the previous week they put up like 217 yards. USC put up 217, and so Arizona's not faring very well stopping the rough physical boys up the middle. And Arizona, as Jeremy mentioned, not very long ago they were 7-1, sitting pretty in the Pac-10 and for a nice bowl game, and now they're 7-3 and in danger of watching their season just slip away on them. And now they still got to face Oregon the coming week, and they got a really dangerous Arizona State team looming in the season finale as well. So really for Arizona State or for Arizona, there's no light at the end of the tunnel right now.
No. Okay, Stanford went to Arizona State. Stanford took the win 17-13, Jack. What did you see out of that game?
Well, Stanford's played most of the season without anyone knowing who the punter was. But this week they had to use the punter 4 times because Arizona.
what's his name?
I didn't look that up. I don't know. but they know who he is. He knows who he is. But that was he punted 4 times, and his parents were there, I believe. So it was great. And you can attribute that his getting on the field to that Arizona State very active, very fast defense. The Devils, honestly, with any luck at all, could be 9-1 in the season this year, and instead they're 4-6, and instead of having some Rose Bowl aspirations, Dennis Erickson has got some respiration issues. Looking over his shoulder, wondering if he's going to have a job in the near future. Still, I think the Sun Devil fans can at least take some solace in the fact that they are, without a doubt, the best 4-6 team in the nation. There's no other 4-6 team in America that wants a piece of Arizona State. Take it from me. So, I'm not sure that's much of a consolation for being the next door neighbor with WSU in the standings, but it's something.
Yeah.
Well, I think for Stanford, there's 2 reasons why they won. Is Andrew Luck. Couple minutes to go in the ball game. Who do you want the ball? They're down by a couple points. Who do you want the ball in the hands of? Andrew Luck. He led him on a 80-yard drive, which ended up sealing up the victory for him. But also, again, we talked a little bit last week. If you're watching the show, you're learning, you're getting educated. Stanford's defense is pretty good. Yeah. That also kept it in the game, holding Arizona State's offense, which has shown signs that they can move the ball up and down the field. They held them to 264 yards total. Arizona State, like we talked about, they can play with anyone. Unfortunately, they just, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, they just can't win close and big games. But I will say this, Arizona State does lead the nation in moral victories.
That'll get you rehired.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the biggest upset, not only this week, but in the Pac-10 this season so far, Washington State's victory over Oregon State. The score came out 31-14. All right, Joel, what do you say?
I obviously no one here on this panel picked Oregon State to lose this game. I think probably the most shocking.
As we keep up on things.
I think most shocking is how Washington State beat Oregon State. They just out-physicaled them on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And Washington State controlled the time of possession. They controlled the rushing yards. And Jeffrey Toole had a great day of rushing for 100 or throwing for 157 yards and rushing for 80 yards. And this Oregon, and so I mean, congratulations to Washington State. You got your first Pac-10 win, and kudos to you. I think they were 24-point dogs. So to win that, awesome. And Oregon State, I don't think it's a talent issue on why they're doing bad. I know they lost James Rogers and everybody, but I think Jaquiz Rogers said it the best when he said after the game that when he looked around the locker room, he says a lot of people weren't giving it their all, meaning that the team has given up. And Mike Riley better get the troops all riled up because they've got USC coming on board this week. They got Stanford and then Oregon. You better right the ship pretty quick, or it could get ugly for them.
Yeah, that's kind of like a Riley team. To be not up for a game and inconsistent. Usually Riley gets the troops going. So that's kind of uncharacteristic of that game. Like Joel said, we were all off on this one. I'm sure 90% of America out there was off on this game. A lot of ball.
99.9%.
99, yeah, really. A lot of ball control issues in this game. 6 fumbles and a pick for the two teams. But Washington State able to move the chains, going 10 for 17 on third downs. I'll hit that stat a lot because I think that kind of tells the game. Joel mentioned last week about Oregon State's pass defense being in the bottom 30 of the league, and I think kind of Toole exposed that. Although he didn't have a whole lot of stats, he just kind of put on his track shoes and I think he said it was like for 80 yards. Gosh, hats off to Cougar Nation with the first win in a long, long time. They can build on that. That's probably beyond the obvious, but they've been carrying a rather large animal on their shoulders for quite a long time now. So now that they've shed that beast, I kind of see good things happening for Pullman.
Well,
in Pullman.
Not much to add to what they said. Favored by 24 points yet, Oregon State loses. And it's pretty hard to argue with Jaquiz when he looked around the locker room, and I don't think they were giving it much of an effort, honestly. It didn't seem like it. It's 2 weeks in a row now that the opposing quarterback has put up career stats in running around in the backfield back there without being tackled. Breha previous week put up 61, and then Toole put up 79 this week. That's almost as much as Jaquiz put up. So, and these guys were known as scrambling quarterbacks up until this week, the last 2 weeks. But that's symptomatic of a bigger problem with Oregon State, and simply put, they can't stop anyone. They can't score. They can't score often enough. And with an elite running back such as Jaquiz Rogers, you think that they'd have a better rushing game than they have. But for the most of the season, honestly, their rushing attack has been AWOL. And like Jeremy said, hats off to the Cougars though. Big first win, first one they've had since they beat the Huskies a couple of years ago. Congratulations.
Okay, there you have it, last week's recap. Thanks for checking it out.